Hey, 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 live on YouTube. What's going on, Greg? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. I noticed some changes these last couple of days on the website. What's up with that?
Indeed.
What's going on?
We finally own frequentmiler.com. I,
Woohoo!
I'm betting that a lot of readers probably didn't even realize that we didn't have that domain. But yeah, when I started the blog, what seems like a million years ago now, uh, frequentmiler.com was not available. And so I tried over the years to get it from the company that owned it. And they weren't even using it at the time. But anyway, finally got it recently, and now we switched over. So we no longer are frequentmiler.boardingarea.com, we're frequentmiler.com. So that's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. It's very exciting. I think that a lot of people probably have wondered why we didn't have frequentmiler.com over the years. I mean, anybody who's actually noticed anyway that it's not frequentmiler.com. I know I sure wondered. And then, of course, obviously, I've known the last couple of years that you wanted it. It's just been a matter of getting it. So it's so exciting to now have it.
It
And it's so
is.
much easier to tell people, right? When you talk to somebody,
Right.
you can just tell them, okay, go to frequentmiler.com instead of telling them you should Google the frequent miler.
Exactly. I mean, when we look at our what searches bring people to our website, searching for frequent miler
Right.
is the number one thing. And maybe that's true of most websites. I don't know, but I've always thought it's probably because people just didn't know the domain, but now it's going to be pretty obvious. So
Right.
hopefully, hopefully people will be able to figure it out now. And to celebrate, we've developed a whole bunch of swag. So here's a frequentmiler.com mug that I love. And tomorrow morning, we're going to announce a contest. We're going to give away lots and lots and lots of frequentmiler.com swag. So
That is awesome. I'm
yeah.
jealous. I'm jealous because I'm working with an outdated frequent miler mug over here. So,
Uh,
I'm jealous now, but if you're jealous too, you don't have to be for long because you're going to get a chance to enter to win some frequent miler swag. So
right.
that's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. I think so. And there's some really cool stuff. Carrie's
There
designed all
is.
kinds
Yeah.
of it's not just mugs.
No, 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 no. No, if you don't drink coffee, that's okay. I won't hold that against you. It's more coffee for me. We got lots of other cool stuff. Yeah, I mean
Right.
the stuff that Carrie
You'll
has put
see it all
together,
tomorrow.
gonna be good. Gonna be good stuff. So check it out tomorrow. Don't forget, go to
Oh,
frequentmiler.com tomorrow. Huh?
right. You
Huh?
almost said it the old
I
way. You almost
almost
said
did.
the
I stopped
frequentmiler.com,
myself. Yeah.
which was always programmed to reroute to frequentmiler.boardingarea.com. But
And
no
and we'll still
longer.
be programmed to do that, I suppose.
It'll
So if
now
you
be
if you make that
programmed to go
mistake,
to frequentmiler.com.
frequentmiler.com. Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's good. All
All
right. I
right.
think we have our first question. I think it's probably my turn to read the questions to you.
Okay, go right ahead.
That's
Let's
my
do it.
guess. I don't know.
Sounds
All
good to me.
right. First question is from Yolanda. Does it make sense to apply for Boundless so I can product change to Ritz? I prefer the two Amex Marriott cards, but Ritz's no annual fee authorized user with priority pass is very useful with 3 college kids.
Yeah. So, uh, good question. Does it make sense to apply for it? Because obviously, the Ritz card you can't get directly now. You can't apply for that directly anymore, but it is still available via product change. So, I mean, that makes some sense. On the flip side, as Greg's talked about, you can actually get both of the Amex cards, the business and the brilliant, and then have 30 nights of elite credit each year. So what you're giving up here is 15 nights of elite credit because you're going to have to wait 2 years to pick up an Amex card. If you get a Chase card right now, you're going to have to wait 2 years before you're eligible for one of
Yeah.
the
I mean, I
Amex
think you
cards,
could
right?
get one. You just wouldn't get a sign up bonus for it. So,
Okay, not
yeah.
eligible for the bonus if you've gotten exactly, yeah. If you've gotten a Chase card within the last 90 days or a Chase bonus within the last 24 months, then you wouldn't be eligible for a bonus. You're right on the
Right.
Amex side. So I mean, yeah, you're giving up that chance, the chance at a bonus, I guess, and or 15 elite nights. I mean, if you don't really need the elite night credits, then yeah, I mean, I feel like the priority pass value could really add up, although it depends on where you travel. If you mostly travel within the United States, priority pass might not be that useful. I don't know. I know you
It,
like the
ju-
unlimited priority
yeah,
pass,
it
right?
just depends on the airport, right? So
Right.
like for example, my niece who flies out of Buffalo Airport, they have a priority pass lounge there now. So it's super valuable to give to her, and wherever these college kids are, and might or might not be valuable. I love that feature, but another aspect to consider is the fact that the the Ritz card's $300 travel credit is based on airline incidental fees, whereas the Bonvoy Brilliant on the Amex side, its credit is based on just any Marriott spend. So it's much easier for the sort of average person to get that $300 back. So I don't know, if you're willing to do sort of a little bit of finagling to make sure you get your $300 Ritz credit back, which isn't actually that hard, then I like it. I like that play.
I do too. I mean, I like the Ritz card, particularly also for the travel protections. Now, I know a lot of people are going to have a Sapphire Reserve card that covers travel protections. In my household, my wife has the Sapphire Reserve and I have the Ritz card. And that's useful for me because I'll book travel when it's only me, when I'm traveling by myself on my Ritz card for the travel protections. That way she doesn't have to make the phone call to Chase to file a claim if need be. So
Right.
those types of variables also come into play there. I would personally rather have the Ritz than the Brilliant, but I could definitely see where Greg's saying the credit on the Brilliant's much easier to trigger for a lot of people. So I can understand why some people would prefer that. So it's really hard to say. I mean, I guess what I would say to you is, are you going to go after 15 elite nights? Are you going to try and mattress run 15 elite nights, or or justify using points to book a couple of free night stays in order to make it to elite status? Because if you are, that's your cost for the priority pass, and then you just have to determine, okay, well, how much is the priority pass worth to you? So it's not a bad idea.
Right. All right, I think we nailed that one.
I think so. Nailed it.
All right, nailed it. All right, next is from Grant. Hey, Greg and Nick, happy early Halloween. My wife applied for the Chase Marriott Bonvoy credit card recently and was denied. I am pretty sure she is at, I think it says 324,
yeah.
But we refinanced our mortgage recently. So I'm wondering if that messed up her inquiries. Any suggestions on how to get approved for this card with Chase?
Ordinarily I would tell you that shouldn't matter at all. Although this is the second time I've heard from someone now recently who had a refinance that got in the way of getting approved. There was somebody in our frequent miler insiders group who also refinanced because of low rates, and was told that was why he couldn't get approved for a Chase card. So I don't know. That's a new thing. If it's a thing, to me, as far as I've known anyway, for years now, it's just been credit card accounts, not inquiries necessarily. Now, sometimes an issuer, when they don't want to approve you, will say it's because you have too many inquiries. And I always say that's kind of like the, it's not you, it's me excuse. No, it's you. I mean, it's
Right.
just something that people say, and so too many inquiries is typically just something that an issuer uses as a reason why they're going to deny, because it's the easy thing to point to. So I wouldn't really think that would be the sole reason. And I would call the reconsideration line. I mean, I imagine that Grant has, because I'm sure you must know to call the recon line. So if you've tried that and failed, I don't know as though there's much more you can do. But for those people who don't know that you can do that, you can go to our best offers page, and we have the reconsideration line phone numbers for all the major issuers. And you definitely want to call Chase reconsideration after you've been denied, because sometimes it's just a matter of answering some questions and explaining some things, and you can get that card approved.
Yeah. Also, if you have other Chase cards, if you're applying for a personal card and you have other Chase personal cards, I almost always lead with, hey, look, I'm not looking for new credit with Chase. I'm just looking, I want this new card because of its great features. And so if you need to move credit over from one of my other cards, that would be totally fine. And be ready with some suggestions of, which cards you can, you're willing to go lower on the credit allotment for. And that's always worked well in the past. But to be honest, I haven't had this situation for a while now where I've had to call recon. So, yeah, as you said, because we know Grant's been in this a long time, I'm pretty confident that he did this or his wife did this. And so, yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too. And you could call reconsideration more than once. There's a chance
Hmm.
that you'll get a friendlier
Yeah.
agent the second time. Now, Chase keeps pretty good notes, so they're probably going to know that you've called before, but that doesn't mean you won't get a friendlier person the second time. So I have heard of people being successful on a second or third attempt.
You
So
know, it's been a long time, but that has worked for me.
yeah,
That worked for
So
me on the business side way back when.
there you go. So best of luck with that.
All right. Next question is from Kimberly. Amex Gold 2005, PC'd to Green in 2013. Thought might get past lifetime language, applied, but got pop-up saying history, etc. made me ineligible. I
Whoa.
guess, yeah. So what should she do? Is there anything she can do?
You know, it depends. Was it detailed enough, or is that pop up detailed enough to tell you that you've had the card before? I think it just
I
tells you
don't
that
think
you're not
so.
eligible, right? So,
Yeah.
so I think I would assume that it could be because you've had the card before. Although if you product changed off of it in 2013, there's at least a chance that Amex has kind of forgotten that you've had it before. So that
Right.
could potentially not be the issue. Perhaps what the issue is that you haven't put enough spend on your other Amex cards. Anecdotally, lots of people have reported that by putting some spend on their various Amex cards for a few months, they've been able to get those pop-ups to eventually go away. Now, obviously, that's going to be a temporary thing. You open a new card, they're going to want to see more spend. But that would be my suggestion. That'd be the first place to start, because you're not going to get around the pop-up, and I don't think you're going to get around the pop-up via a person on the phone, at least not to my knowledge. So instead, you need to find a way to get that pop-up to go away, and that's anecdotally been the way to do it. Put spend on your other Amex cards.
Do you know whether people who have sort of ignored the pop-up and click through anyway, whether they've ever gotten the sign-up bonus? Because my
I don't know.
guess is that the pop-up is a rough tool to indicate whether or not you're eligible, and that reality may be different, but that's just a guess. I don't have evidence one way or another.
I
So
don't
yeah,
either.
I would
So
probably go with Nick's suggestion.
oh, okay.
Uh,
So there was a little bit more context that she had there. So, however,
nope.
on the green card, I have an Amex offer to upgrade to the gold for 40K and keep the same card number. When clicked, looked like auto approval or upgrade offers pre-approved for a bonus. Yeah,
Yes, that's safe. Do that.
yeah, exactly. Yep. And to be clear, she asked, are they pre-approved for a bonus? Not are they pre-approved?
Right.
I don't know whether they're pre-approved in the sense that they're a guaranteed approval. I've never had a problem with one of them, but at the same time, to answer the question, yes, if you see an upgrade bonus, you are eligible for the upgrade bonus. That's always the case, even if you've had the card before, and sometimes even if you have the card currently, you can get an upgrade bonus to get a second of the same. It's happened to me before anyway, and I think it's probably happened to plenty of others out there.
Yep. Okay. Next question is from Yuri. Is there a way to share Wyndham points within a household?
That's a great question. I don't know. Do you know, Craig?
I don't think so. I remember looking for that with my wife's account once, but what I did find is that you can get added to your spouse's or a family member's account such that you can make changes, like make bookings and everything, and be so that if you have to call to do anything, that you can just say who you are, and and that works. So that was pretty cool. So even though we were
Yeah.
booking things from my wife's account, I was able to do all the calls.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But unable to combine them, so that's a bummer, because if you have some in one account, some in another, I guess you're not going to be able to put those together.
Right.
They do have a sale on points right now. I haven't even looked at whether or not it's worthwhile, but I know that they're offering a discount on points right now. So if you're just a little bit short of something, you might take a look at that.
There you go. Okay, Alex says, hi guys, I have a 7-night package, category 5, that is due to expire in early February 2021. I'm in exactly the same situation, except category 6, by the way. Anyway, do you think they will extend the validity of these in a similar fashion to the night certificates?
Well, first of all, if that's the original expiration date, then yes, they've already said that if it was scheduled to expire before July 31st of next year originally, then it will be extended to August 31st.
Right.
Of
To be
next year.
clear, the original announcement listed travel packages specifically in addition to free night certificates.
Right. So if you bought that certificate bought it with points, of course. If you bought that certificate in February 2020, then it would have had a February 2021 expiration date, going to be extended to August 31st. Supposedly
Right.
it will reflect that on December 11th, but I
But
don't
we
think
know
that's
that's not the case. We know that's not the case because Alex reads our blog. He knows the new certificates are a bad deal in most cases.
So he didn't buy one of those. He bought one of the old ones.
Right.
And it's been extended. So he bought that probably before the merger, which happened in 2018, I think, right? So it's probably already been extended a couple of times because we all know that you can usually call Marriott around the time of expiration, and they're pretty good about extending these things one or two or sometimes even more times than that. So they've often been extended. Now, the way the announcement was worded, it was pretty darn clear that if the original expiration date was before 2020, which yours would have been if this was one of the old ones, then it wouldn't be extended. But I don't know whether or not the IT is going to be coded to do that. What do you think, Greg?
Right. My guess is that the IT is not going to be smart enough because, when they issued the new certificates, they were I think the system saw them as brand new certificates. So that's my hope. But here's my strategy basically is I have a award stay booked for January that is not attached to the certificate, but the plan is to wait till after December 11th when they said the system will be updated. See if my travel package got the new end date assigned to it. If not, I'm going to call Marriott to apply my travel certificate to the award that I booked. And so
okay,
you need a backup plan in case they don't.
I'm going to pour cold water on this and say I'm going to put that at a very low percentage chance. And here's why. So everybody's clinging to that idea that they have reissued the certificates, right? When you get an extension, they actually cancel the old one and issue a new one, which is totally true. That's the way it works with Marriott certificates. However, also totally true. People have called in the past to extend free night certificates and been told, no, you've extended it before. We're not going to extend it again. So obviously they can see that it's been extended.
That's true.
So the IT is set up for that. And they were very specific in how they worded it in the announcement. So I think I'd put that at a very low percentage chance of happening. I think you definitely need that backup plan.
Yes. Well, okay. We agree on that. And actually you've kind of convinced me that, the chance is probably lower.
I wouldn't count on it.
I
wouldn't count on it. I mean, it might happen. Marriott's IT is pretty bad, so it certainly might happen, but I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket.
Right. Okay. Good advice. Okay. Yolanda asks, is it safe to cycle the Amex credit limit for the 3X promotion if spend is 100% organic, taxes and tuition? Never done any MS.
Oof. Who knows? I mean, that's so hard to answer because Amex has been so clawback happy over the last couple of years. I'm gonna let Greg take this one. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I've done exactly that over the years in pursuing Delta Elite status through high spend, where I've had these big, tax payments or whatever it was, and I haven't cycled many times within a month, but I've probably cycled at least 4 times within a month, I would guess.
Which is many for most people.
Yeah.
But not many. I mean, not many compared to what's been done before.
Yeah, I mean, some people try to do it daily. So, all I could say is if I was in that situation, I'd feel okay to go forward and doing it, but you just never know. I mean, who knows what they'll go after, but I would guess that it'd be okay.
So here's the thing. The other thing to keep in mind with that is if your spend is 100% organic like that, you're going to get the original rewards. The question is just whether or not you're going to get the +3. So if you're doing it on a card where you would be happy enough with the awards that it would normally come with. So let's say you got a Blue Business Plus and maybe your credit limit's $10,000. You could spend up to $50K per year at 2X. And so you'd want to cycle that 5 times and spend your $50K all in 1 month. That you're at least going to get your 2X on the $50K, and that's a good return. And if you get your 3, which it's a bad example because the +3 it doesn't exist on the business cards. But my point is anyway that if you're happy with the original rewards, then all you're risking is whether or not you're going to get the +3. I think Greg's probably right. It's probably safe with organic spend, but Amex might come claw that back 6 months from now, and it's very hard these days to predict what they're going to do.
So I'm kind of surprised. I would not predict that the +3 would be in jeopardy. I would think that if they're going to do anything, it'd be more like closing the account entirely.
Well, okay,
like because
yes, that's a risk for cycling.
And I'm saying, because I'm saying this because there's nothing about cycling credit that's breaking the rules of the +3 deal, right? And so if it's demonstrably, organic spend, I think there's a good case to bring it up the change through supervisors and everything. If for some reason it's not awarded,
good point.
But they always have the right to, as any credit card company can, to decide you're not a good customer for them and to just cut you off. I don't think they would do that, but they could.
In normal times, I would think that's a very low risk in terms of getting cut off. So cycling is typically one of the fastest ways to get yourself shut down by most issuers, but that seems to be less the case with Amex and with other issuers, I would say. So I think in normal times it'd probably be a-okay. In the pandemic times, it's hard to predict, but so go for it is what we're saying, and hold your breath.
Go for it, but don't blame us when it goes
right.
astray.
Don't blame us when it goes wrong. Exactly. That's why I let Greg take it.
Okay. Next question. Hi guys, I'll be 424 next month. Would it be prudent to apply for another Chase Ink card, then the Wyndham business card, then finally the Chase Freedom Unlimited to burn that final 524 slot?
Okay, we'll have another Chase Ink card, then the Wyndham business, and then the Chase Freedom Unlimited. So, I mean, it depends on how fast you're doing all that, right? I mean, would it be prudent to? Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a good plan to me. There's nothing wrong with the plan. I wouldn't probably recommend doing it within 2 weeks' time in the current environment, but if you're going to leave a little bit of time in between, that sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, obviously, there's no guarantee you get approved, especially for the ink card. They seem to, even though they loosened where they were in the summer with business cards, Chase is still being more difficult than they have been in the past to get approved. So don't be too surprised if that doesn't work out. But I think it's well worth trying.
And that's the order you would want to go in, because the ink card is likely to be the most difficult of the bunch to get approved for. So you would start with that. But yeah, otherwise, carry on. You've got it.
Cool. All right. Next one from Timeless Victory. Hyatt Globalist with lots of UR points here. How disappointed will I be if I go for top tier status with Hilton and Marriott? Hyatt has spoiled me. Lots of suites.
Very disappointed. Well, I mean, you might not be disappointed in terms of the fact that you'll be able to travel to a lot more places and have properties there. I mean, your footprint's going to be a lot bigger, so you may not be disappointed in the sense that every place you want to go, you're going to be like, wow, there is a Hilton or a Marriott, and it's exactly where I need to be, which is not the case with Hyatt. That's my biggest complaint with Hyatt. But in terms of elite recognition, I mean, there's no contest, right?
I agree. Yeah. so Hilton doesn't even try to promise the things that Hyatt does. Marriott sort of pretends to offer many of the same things like suite upgrades and whatnot, but the way they do it is just not comparable, and not all properties are eligible for those things. Even simple things like lounge access, not all properties have to give it to you, which is ridiculous.
Right. Which at least in Hilton, you will get lounge access everywhere. And I'll say in fairness, I have really gotten phenomenal customer service at Hilton properties over the last 5 or 6 years. And I've mostly stayed at higher end Hilton properties. So I'm not really basing that on your Hilton Garden Inns or, Hampton Inns and that sort of thing. I'm looking more at top tier sort of Conrads and Hiltons and that sort of thing. But I have been really, really happy with the service I've gotten at Hilton. So I think that from a customer service standpoint, I would stack up top tier Hilton properties against top tier Hyatt properties in my experience most of the time, and say that they're pretty equal from a customer service standpoint. But from an elite recognition standpoint, yeah, I mean, maybe you'll get a suite. I mean, I've gotten maybe 1, 2, I mean, couple as a Hilton Diamond member over the years, not very many. And usually when I ask for something, is when I'll get it. You're not going to surprise and delight in terms of a room upgrade, but they are everywhere you need to be.
Yeah.
Less exciting.
So, there you go.
Less exciting for sure. Okay.
All right. Next question is from David. Do you still use gift card and reload to GoBank or Green Dot?
I haven't messed with GoBank or Green Dot myself. No. You?
No. So GoBank, I mean, I should have tried again now in the last few years, but GoBank shut me down when I signed up originally many years ago. I mean, I had barely breathed in the direction of the card and they shut me down. And so I just hadn't tried again. And then Green Dot is just, again, I haven't touched them in a long time just because they were a pain in the butt to deal with. They had really awful policies and customer service and everything, but there are definitely ways to take advantage of both of those cards that are worth doing. I just haven't done it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think the hassle has seemed more than it's worth when there are other opportunities. So I haven't gotten into it, but I know certainly other people have. So that's the answer to your question, I guess.
Yep. All right. Timeless Victory says, is it possible to buy Visa, MasterCard gift cards larger than $200 at office supply stores? I hate making so many trips.
Not at the store, but online, you can buy them. I mean, Staples has the $300 ones on their website, and those will get you 5x. The $300 ones on the Office Depot, Office Max website won't get you 5x because those get processed by Gift Card Mall or whatever. But recently, they've run some promos. They had last week, they had that 15 off of 300, so came out $10-ish, $8 profitable, something like that. So, I mean. That might still appeal to you, even though you're not getting 5x. But if you want the 5x, then Staples for the 300s, but no 500s at office supply stores that I know of, unless you find some office supply store that I've never heard of before. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I mean, maybe you have a local office supply store that carries something. I don't know.
That would be really nice. And if there is, I keep thinking that someone in the hobby ought to open one and sell $500 Visa gift cards, and all the blogs would advertise for them, and people would come from miles around to shop at that store. Okay, Larry asks.
We can try.
Yeah. Running out of time on 3x Amex referral. Player 2 wants Biz card. That's fine. Thoughts on Green Biz 25K sign up bonus, no annual fee first year, or Hilton Biz 130K. Can't meet 15K for free cert with Hilton this year, but maybe next.
All right. So the Green business, the 25K, I mean, it's not a great welcome offer, but at the same time, for the Green business, it is. I mean, I think for a long time it was like 5K on that card. So 25K for that specific card is pretty darn good. Now, I don't know. I feel like they got to refresh that at some point to make that card better or the welcome offer better. But 25K is like literally 5 times what it's been for a long time. So that's not a bad one to go for in the sense that we haven't seen something better in a long time. But I'd probably go for the Hilton card, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
No,
probably. I don't know. The other issue is just how many credit card slots player 2 has,
right?
Because the Hilton one is a credit card, whereas the Green is a charge card, and you're allowed many more charge cards with Amex than credit cards. But yeah, I mean, if you weren't worried about slots, then I think the Hilton card's better choice, and partly just to not have to worry about the he said there's no annual fee first year on the business screen, so that's actually not that's I got it's not a bad way to trigger the +3. Let me put it that way.
It's not. So it's certainly not. The reason I might lean towards the Hilton business right now is you might have seen today that Hilton announced that not only will free weekend night certificates this year be valid any night of the week, but free night certificates earned next year will also be valid any night of the week and until December 31st of 2022. So even if you can't hit the 15K this year on the Hilton business card for a free night, if you can hit the 15K next year, you're going to get a free weekend night that's valid any day of the week and all the way through the end of 2022. So that's more valuable than those free weekend certificates typically are, because normally they're restricted, of course, to weekend nights, as the title would suggest, and usually only valid for a year. Whereas if you meet the spend relatively early in 2021, you'll get well over a year to use that certificate.
Yeah. One more thing, I happen to know Larry is a Delta flyer. Larry, if you're hoping to earn the +3 on one of your Delta cards, note that Delta cards can only refer people to other Delta cards. So you could refer player 2 to one of the Delta business cards, but not to the Hilton or the Green business card.
There you go. Good point.
Okay, next question from Kimberly. For hitting 30 plus transactions on Amex Everyday Preferred, or benefit from rounding up on Citi Rewards Plus, see some people do 50 Amazon reloads. Are there known issues with doing this? Other tips to maximize or avoid?
50-cent Amazon reloads. Obviously the cheapest possible Amazon reloads would make for a potential profitable play there, so to speak, in the sense that they can help bump you over the 30 transaction limit. I've done that sort of thing in order to get over the 30 transactions with the Everyday Preferred in the past. Now, if you do 29 of those and then one charge for 30 grand every month, maybe Amex won't like that very much. But, if you're doing 5 or 10 of those mixed in with 20 other normal things, I imagine probably Amex won't even notice. On the Citi side, if you're going to do it enough for it to make a difference, then you're playing with fire, right? Because
and in order to do so, just in case there's probably people watching that don't know what we're talking about, the Rewards Plus earns a minimum of 10 points per purchase, and so when you have a purchase that's $1, you're getting 10x on that purchase. If you're doing a purchase that's 50 cents, like we're talking about, you're getting 20x or 20 points per dollar. That sounds amazing. But then think about how many steps you have to go through clicking on the screen to reload. So then if you're going to do enough to make a difference, you're probably talking about writing a script that will reload over and over and over. That certainly there's famous incidents of people getting in trouble with Chase, and in the way past, I think it was the Freedom Card had a similar deal of 10 points per purchase, and they shut down all the accounts of people doing that kind of thing. There was also I think a AAA deal where people were getting 5% on everything. They shut that down, or 5. I don't know. It was something else, but anyway,
getting too much.
I'm getting mixed up in the
more than
stories.
Yeah.
So. Yes. So
I points to move the needle there. You're going to have to go really hard, and that's going to be to a ridiculous extent. That's
right. So if you do that, just be aware that you're almost definitely going to get shut down by Citi, and so if you think it's worth it, then you need to be cashing out those points pretty much as soon as you earn them.
And that's the key point there, because the things to keep in mind with a Citi shutdown that are more specific to a Citi shutdown than other issuers, or that Citi is well known to just take all of your points when they shut you down. Whereas other issuers will sometimes give you time to use the points if they've shut you down. Citi typically does not. They just clear out all the points and don't give them to you. You have to fight and go to court or arbitration or whatever, try and get any of those points back. So, is it worth the fight to get those points back? You definitely want to be cashing them out all the time to not get them all confiscated if you're doing something like that. The other thing to keep in mind is that I've heard in Citi shutdown stories of other people loosely connected with you as a card holder also getting their accounts shut down. So if you have people on your other Citi accounts who are authorized users, there's a chance that their personal cards with Citi are also going to get shut down, not just your accounts. So, if you've got other family members, especially extended family members on your Citi accounts, that's something else to keep in mind too. I feel like it's not worth the small win there unless you're like going really crazy, and then you're going to get shut down.
Good advice. All right. Brent, it seems that like the credit card issuers are offering higher bonus offers lately. Do you think this is a permanent trend or a temporary one?
Well, I mean, we expected this. We predicted this, right? I mean, back in the beginning, so to speak, we thought that we would see this because obviously all of these travel companies want people to, you know, come out and travel and visit their properties again. They need to entice customers to have travel on their mind in a time when people don't have it at the top of mind. So I think we kind of expected this would happen. We knew it would take a little bit because obviously people didn't have travel at the top of mind. And so that was going to be a while before we saw it. Are they permanent? I mean, nothing is permanent, right? So
Right.
eventually it's going to ebb and flow and go back and forth. But I think we'll continue to see good offers for a while.
I agree. I would expect to continue to see what we consider very good offers roll in for at least, I would actually say for at least the next year
Yeah,
would be
I agree.
my guess. So
Probably through at least late 2021, we'll continue to see. And of course, I mean, they're going to have to bump them up and put them back down. I mean, that's the
right.
only way to generate excitement. So, you know, all of these offers are going to be around for a bit, and then they're going to go away, and then eventually they're going to increase them again. So, you know, it constantly ebbs and flows like that. So don't get sucked into the thought that, oh, I have to apply now because I'm never going to see this bonus again. There are times when we see a bonus like that new targeted Sapphire Reserve one. If you get a mailer for the
Yeah.
offer for 100,000 points and a waived annual fee the first year, don't even think about it. Like, you want that. That is a once in a lifetime. You're not going to see that one twice. But you know, if you're talking about something like, you know, there's a few extra Hilton points on this card, or, you know, a couple extra Bonvoy points on that, those are going to come around again.
Right. Right. And I would guess that the 5 free nights from the Bonvoy is also a unique thing that we probably
That's
won't
true.
see again. That said, depending on your situation, it might not be that valuable. If you don't know, you'll be traveling a lot in the next year.
Right.
All right. Let's see where we. Jake says, have you heard about the recent Amex shutdowns that were supposedly caused by using no lifetime language application links? Is it ever safe to use an NLL, no lifetime language application, with Amex?
I think it's hard to say what's safe with Amex. Yes, we've heard about it. We're aware of it. Is it ever safe? I mean, it has been in the past. It wasn't in some of these cases. You know, I feel like often in these shutdown stories, you know, if you're involved in it, I think oftentimes you have maybe more of an idea as to why you got shut down, and there might be more to it. If you're on the outside of it, it might seem like it happened willy-nilly, but I feel like probably there was a lot of activity that they just didn't like.
Yeah. So, yeah, my guess, and it's totally a guess, is that they're going to shut down accounts where they see a pattern of that, where you weren't eligible for the bonus, but you signed up with a no lifetime language, link, and you got approved and everything, multiple times. You know, I can't imagine
That's a good point.
you do it one time that they're going to say, I mean, unless you grab the link off some random place on the internet, as opposed to, as if you got the offer directly in your mail, or you got it through a referral from someone and you saw there was no lifetime language. I think that should be, it should be safe for doing that once. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely think once. I think that, if you're doing it again and again and again, that's where it's not going to be okay. And Amex has made it pretty clear that they just don't like that type of activity. So,
which is totally understandable, right?
Right. I mean, yeah. From a business standpoint, that makes sense. We're not trying to defend them in that sense, but just obviously, I mean, if I own the company, I wouldn't like that either, right? I mean, right. So I can understand.
All right. Let's see. Yuri, how does Hyatt Card's 5K spend for 2 elite nights work? Is it per calendar year, rolling year, or when you reach 5K regardless of time?
That's a great question for the guy who's got the card.
My understanding is that it's regardless of time, and that it'll then post the year in which you complete the 5K. But I could not. I searched through like all the terms and conditions that came with the card when I got it and everything. I could not find anything like, written down that said what happens in that situation. So OMAT, 1 Mile at a Time, has a post on how it works, and in there he asserts that it crosses the boundary of the calendar year. I don't think he talks about what happens in the rare situation where you're like have, over more than a year's period, it takes you to spend $5,000. But guessing that's not Yuri's real worry anyway.
Right. Interestingly, I thought it was notable, and I forgot. I meant to actually post about this, separate but semi-related. I noticed an email from Chase on the Southwest card recently that mentioned essentially that you want to get any spend in before your December statement cuts. Basically, the email was explicit that your points earned after the December statement cuts will come in next year, and your points, as of the December statement cut date, come in this year. Now, that's been something we've known for a long time, but I hadn't seen explicitly mentioned by Chase before. And I'd always advise people that were working on a Southwest welcome bonus, just wait until January 1st if you can. Even though I know it's probably safe to do the spend in December, I'd hate for Chase to all of a sudden be like, oh, those points count now in December because you spent the money in December and you don't get the companion pass when you need it. But they were clear that was the cutoff. So I wonder if maybe December statement cut dates have anything to do with the cutoff on the elite.
I expect it does. Yeah, I would guess it works the same way as that, but don't know for sure. Okay. So all right. So Kevin, yes. Amex doesn't do inquiries for additional cards. If I'm at 424 and get another Amex, will I still be 424? In other words, does Chase look at open date or inquiries?
Open accounts. Inquiries doesn't matter. Open accounts. I mean, you could apply for 15 cards and get denied for all of them, and you don't have a new account. Now, they might not like the 15 inquiries anyway, but the new accounts are what count towards 524. So yeah, you're still going to have a new account on your report, assuming that it's a personal Amex card.
Yep. There you go. So we've got another one.
And I guess I should mention that, you said that they don't do inquiries, and anecdotally, again, that's been true, that they haven't done hard pulls for new accounts for existing cardholders for a few years now, to my knowledge, but that's never a guarantee. Keep that in mind too, that they certainly can hard pull.
Sure. Okay. Michael says, I tried Amex Blue Business Plus, but got the pop-up. I'm at 224, so do I wait it out?
I think actually his question started just above that.
Oops. Sorry.
Open a business.
Hi guys, I opened a biz checking account with Chase last week and also applied for an in cash and was denied for my business being too new. Chase is my main bank and my credit score is in the 790 to 800s. I tried Amex Blue Business Plus, but got the pop-up. I'm at 224, so do I wait it out? More spending. Put more spend on the Everyday Preferred, or just stick to personal cards for the time being? What do you think?
I mean, it's a weird environment, and particularly, I think, for business cards. Lots of small businesses are struggling right now. And I mean, I don't think you have to be an economist to assume that many small businesses are going to fail, especially as we see an increased wave of cases in the United States. I think that, I think it's reasonable to expect that more small businesses will fail, as sad as that is. And so it's a risk for the bank to extend credit to a small business. So I can see why they would be a little tighter on approvals right now. So I think if your aim is to go for business cards, it wouldn't be unreasonable to wait a few months and see if and how things change in the coming months. I think it would be wise, if you got the pop-up with Amex, to go ahead and put some spend on your Everyday Preferred. I could see the outlook changing. I mean, goodness knows, things have changed so fast over the last year. 3 months from now, things might look very different than they do today. So I think I'd probably wait it out and go for a couple more business cards. What about you, Greg? Would you just go for the personals, or?
Well, I mean, there's also other banks you can try too with business cards and see what you can get there. Let me throw a hypothetical at you, Nick. Suppose, so we've been hearing a lot of this, people getting denied by Chase because their business is too new.
Too new. Mm-hmm.
Imagine a scenario where you've sold things on eBay or wherever off and on for years, but never really thought about it as a business. But now you have something that some side hustle or whatever you're doing that you think of as a business. So you had applied under that business, and you truthfully said, okay, it started a year ago or whatever. And then you get this, it's too new. Do you try again with your other business, which you never really thought of as a business, but is? And, you could just say you started it whenever you first started selling things.
I mean, I think that that's a possibility. I think if you were just denied for a Chase business card, I think your chances of getting approved within close proximity to that application are low. I know that the standard rule of thumb has always been if you get denied for a card like that, then you would want to wait like usually 3 to 6 months before you apply again. But that's not a bad strategy. And if you do wait it out the 3 to 6 months and try again, it might be smarter to try with that more established business that's been around a bit longer. And again, maybe you didn't think of it as a business the whole time, but you started it sooner. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that's probably a good strategy.
So I have no idea if it would work, but again, we do keep hearing this. Your business is too new.
Yeah,
reason.
Which wasn't a thing for years and years, but suddenly seems to be. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
All right. Coastal 123. Any questions on new ways of MS gift cards getting smaller? Of MS. Gift cards getting smaller and limits at places to flush these makes MS quite hard. Need new ways to earn points.
So gift cards getting smaller. Are they getting smaller? They're the same size they've always been, right? I mean, and in fact, bigger in many ways because Simon over this last year has started selling the $1,000 cards both in person at the mall and online. So, I mean, gift cards are the biggest they've ever been, aren't they? So,
yeah, I'm not really sure what is meant by that. But
confused there in terms of places becoming more difficult in terms of how to liquidate. That's just so regional and really varies. And I always tell people, don't get in over your head. Make sure you have a few backup plans because you never know when things might change. There's been rumblings over the last couple of weeks here about supposedly Walmart's going to institute a new system and block gift cards, and that rumor has been coming around about as long as I've worked at Frequent Miler and hasn't yet come to fruition. It's kind of like Sears going bankrupt. I feel like, I've been hearing that for 10 years already. So, I'm very reluctant to put my stock in those rumors, but there always could be a change.
But I also wouldn't put my stock in Sears.
Right.
As an
aside. Who would? So yeah. So I don't know. In terms of new ways to MS, it's playing the game is always about looking for what might work and seeing, well, will this work? Will that work? Let me try some place I've never tried before, something I've never tried before.
It's also about making friends who are interested in the same thing and work together. There's too many possible things to try on your own, and it's better to split up the tasks and also learn from each other what works and what doesn't. So
great point.
That's really important. And ideally, you have some people in your region too, because a lot of the things that work and don't work are so specific to the area. It's specific to what chain of grocery store you have, or what the policy is at your local you name it store.
And this is where conferences typically in a normal world come in handy, because you can often meet and connect with other people from your region. The Chicago seminars just happened online this year. Typically that happens in Chicago, but it's not just people from Chicago. It's people coming from all over the country. So pretty likely if you come from a major area that you're going to find other people from your area at a conference like that and be able to connect and exchange notes and that sort of thing. And in fact, this year the Chicago seminars was online, and one of the things that I've seen in the Facebook group that's followed is people saying, hey, anybody else in this area? Is there a meetup group? I'd like to connect with other folks. And those are opportunities to connect with people who may be able to share some things with you, and you can divvy up the task in terms of figuring out what works.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Kimbre has, interested in this strategy. Excuse me. I have 45.
Nights, I assume.
You could read it.
Yep, I was just going to jump in. So I have 45, I assume 45 nights at Marriott. I do not have any Marriott cards right now. Looking to see if I can get 30 elite nights this year. Still, what combo of cards should I execute on to max bonus and get 30 nights? So she's at 45 right now, wants to get to 75 for titanium status. How can she do it?
I'm surprised that this is without any Marriott
Without
cards.
any Marriott cards. So you've got 45 nights of
So
staying places.
yeah, I mean,
maybe half of last year.
If you have 2 Amex credit card slots available, meaning if you currently have 2 or fewer credit cards with Amex, then you can get 2 more credit cards, and you could get both the business and personal Bonvoy cards from them and get the sign up bonus on both. Yeah, you'd be eligible because you don't have any Chase Marriott cards. So,
well, assuming you haven't had any Chase Marriott cards in the last, earned a bonus on those Marriott cards in the last 24 months either, because maybe you don't have any now, but you did before.
That's a good point. So assuming that,
yep.
Then that'll give you, 30 more nights right there.
Yeah, that'll be it. That's it. That's all
so you'd want to do that,
2 credit cards.
Quickly so that you get it in before the end of the year. Get those nights.
Yep.
And luckily for you, they're at sort of all-time high sign-up bonuses too. So you'll get a lot of points from that. Okay. Michael says, what are your favorite aspirational flights or hotel stays you have each stayed at?
Ooh, good question. All right. So I know Greg's flights. So my flights, I think my favorite 2 were Etihad and not the apartments, because I haven't flown the Etihad apartments, and goodness knows I regret that because we may never get the chance now that they've grounded all their A380s. So Etihad, just regular first class, was amazing a few years back on a 777 or something. It was terrific. Service was amazing, and it was very hit or miss from what I heard in terms of service with Etihad, but it was my first time flying in a premium cabin, so maybe that had something to do with it. I remember I got some champagne before we took off, and then we took off, and the in-flight chef came around, and he's like, hey, would you like to try the rosé? And I was like, no, I'm okay with the champagne. He's like, sir, you really ought to try the rosé. Oh, you're right, I should. So that was a lot of fun, maybe because it was my first experience like that. And then Singapore Airlines for the service, not even necessarily for the seat, but again, service was just amazing on Singapore Airlines in business class, or in first class rather. I'm sorry. So I flew both.
Was that also not a suite, or was that a suite?
I flew both, because I flew the suites from Sydney to Singapore, and then I flew the regular non-suite 777 from Singapore to San Francisco, stopping in Hong Kong on the way, I guess. And that was also incredible. Very spacious. You could fit 3 people in the seat, and food was fantastic on those flights. So those would be my favorites for flights. What about you? Go ahead. You talk, and I'll think about hotels.
I have the same airlines for the flights. So, I flew Singapore Suites a long time ago now, in 2013. And I was just blown away, both by the hard product and the service was amazing. I loved, their suites are fully enclosed with doors, and at night, the flight attendant asked if she could make up the room across the aisle from me as my bed, rather than changing, what became my living room. And so I love that now I could go back and forth across the aisle between my living room and bedroom. And as I said, service was just amazing. Like, they seemed to know what I wanted before I knew. And then more recently, as I wrote about on the blog, my Etihad first class apartment trip was spectacular. I seem to have gotten lucky, because when you read the reviews, they seem to be hit or miss about how great the service is. On my flight, service was really great, and almost as good as my memory of Singapore suite service. Nothing goes. It didn't probably go quite that far, but it was close enough that It was certainly amazing. Now, I haven't flown Emirates first, which gets
I have, and it's
rave
a lot
reviews.
of fun. It's so blingy. It's fun.
Uh-huh.
So I enjoy that too, and the shower and the sky and all the rest of that. That's fun. But I think that the Etihad and Singapore flights stick out to me because the service was so over the top. Service was fine on Emirates too. I just feel like the service was so over the top. On, like you said, that feeling of they knew what I wanted before I had any idea what I wanted.
Right. And then one other flight I should mention is Spirit's big front seat.
I mean, it looks comfortable. It looks nice. So.
I haven't done it.
I walked past it once.
All right. So now, how about lodging? What was?
Lodging is actually harder for me to answer. So it's funny because I think that, when you talk about my favorites, it's not necessarily the most impressive, like from a standpoint of most people. Like
Sure.
my one of my favorite hotels in the world is the Conrad Dubai, and it's not like in a special place. It doesn't have a special view. It's like a sort of a businessy nice hotel, but man, we've gotten such good service there, and just the smell and the way the rooms look. It's something about it I just really like. So that's one of my favorite hotels. But the best room upgrade I ever got was by far at the Domes of Alunda in Crete last year. My 2-level suite where I had an indoor pool in my room and an outdoor pool also in my room. So that was an amazing suite. And I've stayed at a lot of awesome places, but those are probably the two that stand out the most.
Yeah. So I have a problem when answering this question because the bar I set several years back is just too high. So Necker Island is, the ultimate height of aspirational property. We stayed a week on Richard Branson's island, and everything. I mean, read the blog about it if you haven't, but it was amazing. Just totally over the top, amazing trip. And
it's hard to beat that. I mean, I had like lemurs and windsurfing and just dinners with Richard Branson. I mean, what an amazing experience, huh?
Right. So everything else seems like, that I've done seems so far down from that, but I'll just mention some that I like. Like I really like the Hyatt in Costa Rica, the Papagayo Resort. I love the Ventana Big Sur. I really enjoy as a Titanium member the St. Pancras Marriott Hotel in London. And I'm stressing that because platinum members don't get into the lounge there, but titanium members do. And the suite upgrades actually work there. And if that applies, then platinum members everyone gets in the lounge and the suite. And then, there's others that I loved that are not really about the property and just about the service. Like they're like little B&Bs and things that we stayed in Newport at a little B&B that, it's just so special when the staff are all so friendly and makes your stay special in a way that a big resort can't ever do.
Awesome.
All right. Shall we do one last question?
Yeah.
All right. David says, coming up on CSP renewal, so that's Sapphire Preferred. Should I upgrade to Sapphire Reserve? I'm looking to burn some points on Pay Yourself Back this next year. Any data points on annual fee at $450 for upgrades?
All right. So I don't know of any data points on getting a $450 annual fee on the upgrade.
I know of negative data. I heard from at least a couple people who said they were charged $550 on the upgrade.
There you go. So that's not going to work. In terms of should you upgrade, are you eligible for the welcome bonus? Because if you're eligible for a bonus on a Sapphire card, then that's actually kind of tough, because I was going to say then you would apply for it new, but man, with the $80K offer on the Sapphire Preferred, is it worth applying for the Sapphire Preferred and accepting the 1.25 cent Pay Yourself Back?
Yeah, it depends how many points you're going to be redeeming. Or can you wait a year before doing those Pay Yourself Back redemptions, assuming that Pay Yourself Back will still be in useful categories? Because if you could downgrade your Sapphire Preferred to a Freedom and then apply new for the Sapphire preferred to get the 80K offer, it'd be hard not to do that. But yeah, if you are eligible, but you really want to do the redemption soon, you could do the math and say, like the current Sapphire Reserve offer is 30K lower, that the current public one, 30K lower than the Sapphire Preferred one. So if you're going to redeem so many that you know, the extra 30K wouldn't overwhelm the difference in the 1.25 redemption versus 1.5 redemption, then you can make the decision that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would need a spreadsheet.
I mean, if you're going to
figure that out.
redeem like, hundreds of thousands of points, then it, certainly I would guess it pretty quickly makes sense to upgrade to the Sapphire Reserve instead. But you are going to pay the $550 fee, we figure. So that's a consideration also. But again, if you're thinking about redeeming like hundreds of thousands or a million points or something like that, then I think that probably the Sapphire Reserve makes the most sense.
Right. My sort of back of the envelope calculation estimate is you probably want to be planning on doing about 200,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, to be sure that going with the CSR is worth it. But let's say he's not eligible for either new sign-up bonus, then should he upgrade?
Yeah. I mean, then yes, I think so. If you're not eligible for the new bonus, then yeah. Well, actually, I said yeah very quickly there. I guess you also have to figure on what the other benefits of the Sapphire Reserve are to you, because what's the cutoff? 60,000 points? Is that what it was?
So redeeming about 60,000 points makes it worth having the Sapphire Reserve over the Sapphire Preferred. So I think, yeah.
Assuming you're going to redeem at least that many points, then you would want the reserve.
Yeah. All right. We're over our time.
We are.
So let's say goodbye.
Thank you all
It's
very
good
much
seeing
for being out
everybody.
there.